Gentlemen, Adam here, average man above average life, where we see you go to bed a better version of yourself than when you woke up. Today we're going to talk about grown men talk. What's grown men talk? Grown men talk is simply speaking your age, speaking like a man would carry himself. So we have a spectrum, and a lot of guys fall into either end of the spectrum. So it's something that I felt, I struggled with as well, and I still work on that on a daily basis. So I'm going to share my findings with you, so that again you can be taken for that serious man, serious mature man that you really are. So there are really two ends of the spectrum that guys fall into. A lot of guys fall into. A lot of guys fall into more of the urban slang way of speaking, that hood talk, quote unquote hood talk, to all the way to being effeminate and speaking literally that they're talking through text. I would hope that I'd be able to demonstrate and show examples of those. I've got to be honest with you, I'm going to struggle with the other side of the spectrum a little bit. So what's an example of the urban talk? I'm going to go with that one because that one's a little bit easier for me. So urban talk is, it's funny because actually urban talk usually comes from the guys that don't really have that in their nature. It's an act that they put on. Actually, both of these spectrums are acts that guys put on that they think people want to see, and they think that's what people want to hear. And it's unfortunate, they actually think that's what women like to see from them. So that's why they put on this persona. So going back to the urban way of speaking, you'll find a lot of guys from the suburbs actually speaking this way. And again, it's an act that they put on, and it's very transparent. You can see through it. And even if you have that as part of your nature, it's good to work that out of your system, just because it doesn't take you, it doesn't show that you're a serious person. It doesn't show that you're mature. It doesn't show that you're eloquent. And again, we want to convey to everyone, and we want to adapt that within ourselves and convey to everyone that we are that mature, well-spoken man. So an example of urban talk is, using slang words like shorty, and you're always talking like the typical gangster rapper that you think the persona is on the music videos and whatnot. They speak very abruptly, they speak very direct, but they speak very, very immature and very lowbrow, if you ask me. Again, some examples is like, hey, what's going on, yo? So we going out to the movies next time or whatever. Basically, that's a cringy imitation of it. Again, I'm working through it. I'm actually trying to not speak in that manner, so I'm really, really conscious of it at this point in time, and it really sounds weird to me now that I'm aware that that is what it sounds like. So again, really be conscious of yourself when you're speaking in that manner. Really try to expand your vocabulary a little bit. There's a lot of ways that you can do that. Watching documentaries helped me a lot. It's funny because actually Star Trek helped me a lot with my vocabulary and expanding that a little bit. And obviously reading, guys, always take an opportunity to learn a new word, to learn the new meaning of a word, and incorporating that into your vocabulary and speaking very direct, very slowly, very purposeful, and you'll find that it'll easily overcome that slang way of speaking. So on the other end of the spectrum, we're going to talk about the effeminate way of speaking. The effeminate way of speaking is really, really something that it's actually worse in my opinion than the urban speak. Because the effeminate way of speaking shows off to the people, shows off to the world, shows off to even yourself that you are not a man. You are definitely putting on an act. You're definitely not being yourself. You're definitely putting on a show just to impress people because you think that's what impresses people. So I've literally seen guys I've literally seen guys who are very, I hate to use the word flamboyant, but they're pretty flamboyant when in their true nature they're really not. Again, it's an act that they put on. The OMGs and using, again, trendy slang that you would find in text speak, they actually speak that out in the real world. So one example that comes to mind is, yo, that's lit AF. So we all know what AF means. It's an abbreviated term for when you're speaking in text, and they use that in their real language. They also accompany that with very emotional way of speaking that comes across insincere, that comes across fake, and that comes across as disingenuine. It's all about congruency. If you appear in a certain manner, you take care of yourself, you present yourself physically in a certain manner, but when you speak as either on one end of the spectrum, again, that slang speak, or when you speak in that effeminate way of speaking, there's no congruency with how you look, with how you carry yourself, with how you act, and it really throws people off, and it really makes you look like a fool, to be quite honest with you. So tips on how to speak like a grown man. One tip that works for me, like I said, I mentioned it before, is are watching documentaries, watching shows that really have that elevated way of speaking, that intelligent way of speaking. Again, what helped me a lot with expanding my vocabulary and expanding and actually improving the way that I speak is Star Trek. I know you guys are probably gonna not wanna take that route, but really and truly find shows like that it's enjoyable to watch, and will also give you an example on how to actually articulate yourself and how to speak. Another great tip on how to actually develop your way of speaking is actually by surrounding yourself with people who actually do speak well and people who you look up to and people who you want to be. So pattern yourself from those people who are in a better position in life than you are. There's a reason why they got there. It's not just because of their education or their money. It's actually the way they carry themselves and how they present themselves to people, because again, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, as the saying goes. So you really want, part of that first impression is the way you speak, is the way you carry yourself, and is the way you present yourself through your speech. Alright y'all, so that's wrapping up the video now, you know what I mean? So we're just gonna, be mindful how you're gonna speak, be mindful how you're gonna talk all the time, because it's really gonna show that persona that you are, you know what I'm saying? So really and truly guys, that was a bad example of what to do, what not to do, but really and truly, be mindful in how you speak. Pattern yourself by someone who is someone you look up to. There are a lot of role models out there. There are a lot of guys you can look to speak. Your favorite YouTuber, for instance. They're entertaining and they're interesting to look at for a reason. So again, guys, really be mindful in how you present yourself. How you present yourself physically and even verbally, because the way you speak really speaks volumes as to how you're going to be perceived from the public and from everyone in general. And so you want to be genuine to yourself. You really do. You don't want to put on an act on a mature way of speaking, because if you're not yourself, that also will not come across as genuine. But practice. As they say, fake it till you make it. So always practice small leaps. Remember, we're not going to change the way we speak overnight. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of experience, actually. So speak to as many people as possible, and speak to people who are actually intimidate you a little bit, because that'll actually force you to up your verbal game, so to speak. So again, as always, guys, join us at Average Man Above Average Life. Our goal is to turn you into a better version of yourself. As again, we always say, we want to make sure you go to bed a better version of yourself than when you woke up. So like, comment, subscribe, and look forward to seeing you on our next video.